Let me say this straight, because sometimes truth doesn't whisper, it demands attention. Never complain about something you are not willing to change. See, complaining feels good for a moment. It gives you an excuse to stay where you are, to point fingers, to explain away your responsibility. But every time you complain without taking action, you are telling yourself a dangerous lie that your life is happening to you instead of happening because of you. And I need you to understand this. Complaining doesn't move the needle. Commitment does. Ownership over excuses is the moment a person decides to stop hiding behind explanations and start standing in responsibility. Excuses are easy because they protect comfort. They give the mind a place to rest when effort feels heavy and change feels uncomfortable. Ownership, on the other hand, demands courage. It forces you to look at your life honestly and admit that where you are is largely the result of the choices you have made, the habits you have practiced, and the standards you have accepted. That realization can be painful, but it is also powerful because the same responsibility that created your current situation is the responsibility that can change it. Excuses often sound reasonable. They come wrapped in logic, past experiences, and circumstances that seem out of our control. People say they didn't have the opportunity, the support, the right timing, or the right environment. While those things may be true, they become dangerous when they are used as a permanent explanation instead of a temporary challenge. The moment you allow an excuse to define you, you hand over control of your life to something outside of you. Ownership takes that control back and places it where it belongs, in your hands. Taking ownership does not mean denying hardship or pretending life is fair. It means refusing to let hardship become your identity. It means understanding that pain, setbacks, and obstacles are part of the process, not a reason to quit. Ownership says, this is hard, but it's still my responsibility. That mindset shifts everything. It changes how you respond to failure, how you handle pressure, and how you move forward when things don't go your way. Excuses keep you stuck in the past. Ownership forces you to focus on the present. You cannot change what happened, but you can change how you respond to it. When you take ownership, you stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start asking, what am I going to do about it? That question alone separates people who grow from people who stay stuck. Growth does not come from perfect conditions. It comes from intentional decisions made in imperfect situations. Ownership also requires discipline. It means doing the work, even when motivation is low and recognition is absent. Excuses wait for feelings to line up. Ownership moves regardless of how it feels. It understands that consistency beats talent and effort beats intention. When you own your actions, you stop waiting for someone to save you, fix things for you, or give you permission to change. You become responsible for your own progress. Another hard truth about ownership is that it exposes patterns. When you stop blaming external factors, you begin to notice the habits and behaviors that keep repeating in your life. You see where you avoid discomfort, where you settle for average, and where you choose convenience over growth. That awareness can be uncomfortable, but it is necessary. You cannot correct what you refuse to acknowledge. Ownership shines a light on what needs to change and gives you the authority to change it. Ownership builds confidence because it creates evidence. Every time you choose responsibility over excuses, you prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you thought. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstance and start seeing yourself as a builder of outcomes. That shift is transformative. It affects how you speak, how you carry yourself, and how you approach challenges. You begin to trust your ability to adapt, to learn, and to rise. At its core, ownership over excuses is about respect. Respect for your potential, your time, and your future. It is the understanding that no one owes you the life you want, but you owe it to yourself to pursue it with honesty and effort. When excuses lose their power, responsibility takes its place. And with responsibility comes growth, resilience, and the ability to change what once felt impossible. Change requires action because nothing in life shifts simply because you want it to. Desire alone is passive, and hope without movement is just a wish. Many people talk about change, think about change, and even plan for change, but never step into the discomfort that action demands. Real change begins the moment you decide to move, even when the path is unclear and the outcome is uncertain. Action is the bridge between who you are now and who you say you want to become. Waiting for the perfect moment is one of the most common ways people avoid action. They tell themselves they will start when they feel ready, when the fear goes away, or when conditions improve. The truth is, readiness is built through movement, not waiting. Fear does not disappear before action. It fades because of action. Every step taken, no matter how small, weakens doubt and strengthens belief. Momentum is created by doing, not by thinking about doing. Action demands responsibility. Once you move, you can no longer hide behind excuses or intentions. Action exposes effort, discipline, and commitment. It forces you to confront reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. When you take action, you receive feedback, and that feedback becomes fuel for growth. Even failure serves a purpose when you are moving forward, because it teaches you what works and what doesn't. Standing still teaches you nothing. Change also requires consistent action. One good day does not transform a life, just as one bad day does not ruin it. The difference between temporary improvement and lasting change is repetition. Small actions done daily reshape habits, and habits reshape identity. You do not wake up one day as a different person. You become different through the choices you make over time. Consistency turns effort into character, and character into results. Action is uncomfortable because it challenges old patterns. It requires you to let go of what feels familiar, even if that familiarity is holding you back. Growth often feels like loss before it feels like progress. You may lose comfort, approval, or certainty along the way. Action asks you to risk failure, embarrassment, and criticism. But staying the same carries a cost as well, one that quietly drains your potential and limits your future. Another truth about action is that it clarifies purpose. Many people claim they don't know their direction, but clarity is rarely found in stillness. Direction becomes clear when you move and adjust. Action sharpens focus. It reveals strengths you didn't know you had, and weaknesses you need to address. You don't find confidence first and then act. You act, and confidence follows. Confidence is a byproduct of kept promises to yourself. Action also builds resilience. Each step forward, especially when it's difficult, strengthens your ability to handle adversity. You learn that setbacks are not signals to stop, but instructions to adapt. Action trains the mind to look for solutions instead of excuses. Over time, you stop seeing obstacles as barriers and start seeing them as challenges meant to develop you. That mindset is essential for long-term change. Change requires action because action aligns words with behavior. Anyone can talk about improvement, but action reveals commitment. When your actions match your goals, your life begins to reflect your intentions. You stop feeling stuck because movement creates options. Even slow progress is progress, and progress renews hope. Action turns frustration into forward motion and transforms potential into reality. In the end, change is not about dramatic moments or overnight success. It is about the daily decision to show up, to try again, and to keep moving even when the results are not immediate. Action is the language of growth, and without it, change remains an idea instead of becoming a lived experience. Pain is one of the most honest teachers you will ever encounter because it strips away comfort and forces attention. It speaks when everything else fails to get through. Many people spend their lives running from pain, trying to avoid it, numb it, or pretend it doesn't exist. But pain has a way of finding you regardless. The difference is not who experiences pain and who doesn't, but who learns from it and who lets it harden them. Pain does not arrive to destroy you, it arrives to reveal you. Pain teaches lessons that success never could. When things are going well, it is easy to stay comfortable, careless, and unaware of weaknesses. Pain disrupts that comfort and exposes areas that need growth. It shows you where your mindset is fragile, where your discipline is lacking, and where your priorities are misplaced. In that sense, pain becomes a mirror, reflecting the truth without filters. You may not like what you see, but what you see is necessary for change. One of the hardest lessons pain teaches is patience. When you are hurting, you want relief immediately. You want answers, closure, and resolution. Pain rarely works on your timeline. It forces you to sit with uncertainty and endure moments where progress feels invisible. In those moments, patience is developed, not as passive waiting, but as active endurance. You learn how to keep going even when the outcome is unclear and the road feels heavy. Pain also teaches humility. It reminds you that you are not invincible, that strength does not mean never falling, and that asking for help is not weakness. Pain breaks down pride and replaces it with perspective. It teaches you empathy, allowing you to understand struggles beyond your own. Through pain, you become more aware of others, more compassionate, and more grounded. It reshapes how you connect with people and how you view the world. Another powerful lesson pain offers is clarity. When everything is taken away or shaken, what truly matters becomes obvious. Distractions lose their appeal, and superficial goals fade. Pain forces you to evaluate your values, your relationships, and your direction. It asks difficult questions about who you are and who you want to become. In that clarity, many people find purpose, not because pain is desirable, but because it sharpens focus like nothing else can. Pain teaches resilience through repetition. Every time you survive something you thought you couldn't, your capacity expands. You realize that you are stronger than your emotions and more capable than your fears suggested. Pain shows you that breaking is not the end, but part of the process. Each experience adds layers of strength, wisdom, and endurance that cannot be gained through comfort alone. Pain also exposes the difference between reaction and response. In pain, you are tested on how you handle pressure. Do you lash out, shut down, or give up? Or do you reflect, adjust, and move forward? Pain trains you to pause, to think, and to choose your actions intentionally. Over time, you learn that while you cannot always control what happens, you can control how you respond. That realization is empowering. Perhaps the greatest lesson pain teaches is appreciation. After pain, small victories feel larger, simple moments feel richer, and progress feels more meaningful. You stop taking peace for granted because you know what it feels like to lose it. Pain deepens gratitude and makes joy more real. It transforms your perspective and allows you to see life with depth rather than surface level understanding. Pain is not something to seek, but it is something to respect. When approached with the right mindset, it becomes a classroom rather than a prison. It shapes character, strengthens resolve, and prepares you for challenges ahead. Those who listen to pain instead of fighting it discover that it does not define them, but it does develop them. Consistency matters more than motivation, because motivation is unpredictable and temporary, while consistency is reliable and deliberate. Motivation comes and goes depending on mood, energy, and circumstances. Some days you feel driven, confident, and ready to take on anything. Other days you feel tired, distracted, or discouraged. If your progress depends on how motivated you feel, your results will always be unstable. Consistency removes emotion from the equation and replaces it with commitment. Motivation often shows up at the beginning. It feels powerful when a goal is new and the vision is clear. That initial excitement can create a false sense of progress, making you believe that feeling inspired is enough. But once the excitement fades and the work becomes repetitive, motivation usually disappears. This is where most people stop. Consistency keeps going long after motivation has left. It shows up on ordinary days, in boring routines, and in moments where no one is watching. Consistency builds habits, and habits shape identity. When you consistently do something, it becomes part of who you are, not just something you try to do. You stop relying on willpower and start operating on routine. This makes progress sustainable. You no longer need to convince yourself every day to take action, because action becomes automatic. Over time, those small, repeated efforts compound into results that look impressive from the outside, but were built quietly through discipline. Another reason consistency outperforms motivation is that it creates trust with yourself. Every time you follow through, even when you don't feel like it, you reinforce the belief that you are dependable. That self-trust is critical for growth. When you know you will show up regardless of how you feel, fear loses its power. Doubt becomes manageable. You stop negotiating with yourself and start executing. Consistency also teaches patience. Results rarely show up immediately, and without patience, it is easy to quit too soon. Consistent effort allows time to work in your favor. Skills sharpen, confidence grows, and progress becomes visible through accumulation. What seems insignificant on a daily basis becomes significant over months and years. Consistency respects the process and understands that mastery is earned through repetition, not bursts of enthusiasm. Motivation tends to focus on outcomes, while consistency focuses on process. When you are motivated, you often think about the end result and how good it will feel to achieve it. Consistency shifts attention to what needs to be done today. It simplifies goals into manageable actions. This reduces overwhelm and increases clarity. Instead of asking if you feel inspired, consistency asks if you are willing to do the work. Consistency also prepares you for adversity. Life will interrupt plans with stress, setbacks, and unexpected challenges. Motivation usually collapses under pressure, But consistency adapts. When you are consistent, you learn how to adjust without stopping. You may slow down, modify your approach, or take smaller steps, but you don't quit. That ability to continue through difficulties separates those who grow from those who restart endlessly. Another truth about consistency is that it creates momentum. Action repeated regularly builds rhythm. Once momentum is established, progress feels less forced. Each step supports the next. Even when motivation briefly returns, it amplifies the foundation consistency has already built. Motivation becomes a bonus, not a requirement. Consistency is not about perfection. It is about showing up even when the effort is imperfect. Missed days do not erase progress if you return with commitment. What matters is the long-term pattern, not short-term emotion. Over time, consistency shapes character, strengthens discipline, and delivers results that motivation alone never. Good standards create results because what you accept on a daily basis quietly shapes the life you live. Your standards determine how you treat your time, how you allow others to treat you, and how seriously you take your own potential. They operate whether you are aware of them or not. Every decision you make is filtered through your standards. And over time, those decisions compound into outcomes. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your standards. Many people focus on what they want without examining what they tolerate. They say they want more discipline, more success, more peace, but they continue to accept habits, environments, and behaviors that work against those desires. Low standards feel harmless in the moment because they are comfortable. They don't demand confrontation or sacrifice, but comfort comes with a hidden cost. What you allow today becomes the ceiling of tomorrow. When standards are low, results will eventually reflect that no matter how strong the intentions are. Standards are revealed most clearly in small moments. They show up in how you respond when no one is watching, how you handle fatigue, and how you act when excuses are available. Choosing to show up late, cut corners, or settle for good enough may seem insignificant. Once or twice, but repeated over time, those choices become a pattern. That pattern becomes identity. High standards interrupt that cycle by demanding consistency even when it's inconvenient. Raising your standards is uncomfortable because it forces honesty. It requires you to admit that some of the frustration you feel is not because of lack of opportunity, but because of lack of discipline. High standards demand effort before results and commitment before motivation. They require you to say no to things that feel good in the moment but cost you in the long run. That discomfort is not a sign you're doing something wrong. It's a sign you're growing. Standards also influence your mindset. When your standards are high, you stop negotiating with yourself. You don't debate whether you should do what needs to be done. You simply do it because that's who you are. This removes emotional decision-making from the process. You act based on principle, not mood. Over time, this builds trust within yourself. You know that when you say you will do something, you will follow through. And that self-trust becomes a foundation for confidence. The people you surround yourself with are also shaped by your standards. You naturally attract and tolerate what aligns with what you accept. When standards are low, chaos feels normal. When standards are high, excuses stand out. You begin to value accountability, growth, and honesty, not because they are easy, but because they are necessary. This shift changes conversations, relationships, and expectations, further reinforcing better results. Standards create results because they influence preparation. When standards are high, preparation becomes non-negotiable. You don't wait to be forced into readiness. You stay ready. You understand that opportunities often come disguised as pressure. Preparation determines whether that pressure breaks you or builds you. High standards ensure that when the moment arrives, you are not scrambling, you are capable. Another truth about standards is that they protect your future. They act as boundaries that guard your time, energy, and focus. Without standards, everything feels urgent and important. With standards, you become selective. You invest in what aligns with your goals and let go of what distracts from them. This clarity simplifies decisions and reduces regret because your actions are aligned with your values. Standards are not about perfection, they are about direction. You will still make mistakes, but high standards ensure that mistakes become lessons instead of lifestyles. They push you to correct quickly, adjust intentionally, and keep moving forward. Over time, those corrections compound into progress. The life you are living today is a reflection of the standards you have practiced, not the dreams you have imagined. Change the standards, and the results have no choice but to follow consistency over motivation. It's about understanding that feelings are unreliable, but discipline is dependable. Motivation comes and goes. Some days you feel energized, confident, and ready to take on the world. And other days you feel tired, discouraged, and uninspired. If your progress depends on how you feel, your results will always be inconsistent. Consistency steps in when motivation disappears. It carries you forward when excitement fades and reality sets in. Motivation is emotional. It reacts to wins, losses, praise, and setbacks. Consistency is intentional. It shows up regardless of mood, weather, or circumstances. People often wait to feel motivated before they act, not realizing that action is what creates motivation in the first place. Consistency understands this cycle. It does not negotiate with excuses or wait for the perfect mindset. It moves because it has decided to move. Consistency builds trust with yourself. Every time you do what you said you would do, even when you don't feel like it, you strengthen self-respect. That trust compounds over time. You stop doubting your ability to follow through because you've proven it through repeated action. Motivation might start the journey, but consistency is what keeps you on the path long enough to see results. Progress is rarely dramatic. Most growth happens quietly through small actions repeated daily. Consistency embraces this reality. It understands that greatness is built in ordinary moments, not emotional highs. While motivation wants quick results and instant validation, consistency commits to the long game. It is patient enough to keep showing up even when progress feels slow or invisible. Consistency also builds resilience. When you act consistently, setbacks don't derail you as easily. One bad day doesn't turn into a bad week or a bad month because your habits anchor you. Consistency gives you structure when life feels chaotic. It creates stability in your effort, which leads to stability in your outcomes. Another truth about consistency is that it simplifies decision-making. When something becomes a non-negotiable habit, you remove the mental debate. You don't ask yourself whether you feel like doing it, you just do it. That mental clarity saves energy and reduces stress. Consistency eliminates excuses by making action automatic. Consistency reshapes identity. You don't become disciplined by thinking about discipline. You become disciplined by acting disciplined repeatedly. Over time, your actions change how you see yourself. You stop identifying as someone who tries and start identifying as someone who does. That identity shift is powerful because behavior follows belief. Motivation may give you a spark, but consistency builds the fire. It is what separates those who start from those who finish. When motivation fades, consistency reminds you of your commitment. It carries you through boredom, discomfort, and doubt. It doesn't promise excitement, but it delivers results. It is steady, quiet, and often uncelebrated, but it is the true engine of progress that keeps moving long after emotions have changed.